In other words, when you've done something so many times or repeated an action, made the same choice, keep creating the same experience over and over and over again, the brain begins to create a software program where you can do it more automatically. And by the time we're 35 years old, we become a set of memorized programs. So now, that's 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old, a set of programs. So then, when it comes time to change, most people are using 5% of their conscious mind to go against 95% of what they've memorized subconsciously. This becomes a problem because you can think positively all you want. You can say, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant. You could say that with the 5% of your conscious mind, but the problem is the body may be programmed into something else. And when you're saying, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, your body's saying, no, you're not. You're miserable, you're unhappy. So that thought never gets past the brainstem to influence the body because the mind and body are in opposition. So then it makes sense then that new thoughts, new information, when you learn something new that leads to a new way of thinking, should lead to new choices. New choices, when applied, should lead to new behaviors. New behaviors then should create new experiences, and new experiences should create new feelings and new emotions, and those new feelings and new emotions should inspire new thoughts, and that's called evolution. So then, your brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact of everything you've learned and experienced to this moment. So most people then, when they wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is they start to think about their problems. And those problems are memories that are etched in the brain that are connected to certain people, certain objects, certain things at certain times and places. And the moment they begin to think about their problems that are memories from the past, they're thinking in the past. By the same means, because they've experienced those problems, every one of those problems has an emotion associated with it. So the moment they think about their problems and they start to feel unhappy, they start to feel discouraged, they start to feel anxious or fearful, now their body's in the past, because thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. And how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So I say that if you're not being defined every single day by a vision of the future, then you're left with the memories of the past and you will be predictable in your life. Now think about this. A person who's remembering their problems and firing the same redundant circuits in their brain every single day, they're not conscious they're doing this, and they're waiting for the feeling of unhappiness to hit their body. Their body is so objective. It does not know the difference between the real life experience that's creating the emotion and the emotion that person is fabricating by thought alone. Their body is starting their day, in a sense, believing it's in the same past experience that it was the day before. Now, it only takes a thought and a feeling, we talked about this in the first episode, a memory and an emotion, a stimulus and a response to start the conditioning process. And so most people wake up every single morning conditioning their brain and body into the past. Now, the moment the person starts to feel unhappy and they start saying, oh, now I feel like my normal self, it's those emotions of unhappiness that begin to influence the very same thoughts that they were thinking the day before. You start to think unhappy thoughts, which then starts to make chemicals for you to begin to feel unhappy. The moment you feel unhappy, the brain's monitoring how the body's doing, and it generates more corresponding thoughts equal to those feelings of unhappiness. So thinking creates feeling, and feeling creates thinking, and thinking creates feeling, and feeling creates thinking. And the repetition of this cycle over time conditions the body to become the mind of that emotion. Now the person's body is literally in the past, and the body is believing it's living in the same past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That means now the person's starting their day in the familiar past. So then it means then, in order for us to change, we have to be greater than those emotions that have been stored in the body. We have to be greater than our bodies. But then most people, instead of turning to their partner or to their loved one that they're sleeping with and give them a hug and a kiss, they turn the other way and they go to their cell phone. And 86% of the population in the Western world goes to their cell phone as soon as they wake up. And they check their texts and their WhatsApp and their Instagram and their Facebook and their LinkedIn and their emails and the news. And now they're connected to everything known in their life. And they get up and they do the exact same thing that they did the day before. They use the toilet, they use the coffee machine, they get a shower, they get dressed, they eat breakfast, they sit in the same chair, they watch the same news channel, they're checking their emails, they're working on their phone, they're eating with the same hand, facing the same direction, they drive to work, they do the same things, they see the same people, they go to the same places, they keep re-experiencing the same events in their lives. And in a way, we can take their yesterday, their same yesterday, and set it on their tomorrow. Which means then, if you keep doing something over and over again, a habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that's acquired through frequent repetition. A habit is when you've done something so many times that your body now knows how to do it better than your conscious mind. And we could say then, through routine then, a person now, their body is dragging them into the same future based on what they did in the past, and they've lost their free will to a program. And now they're on autopilot, which means then they're in a predictable future, the same future based on their past. So then to change then is to be greater than the body and its habituations. So then if you're not being defined by a vision of the future, and you get up and you return back to the same familiar life, every person, every object, everything, every place, every experience that you've had has a neurological network in your brain. And because you've experienced all those elements in your environment, it makes sense then you have an emotion associated with them. You may have an emotion that's connected to a coworker, that's different than a different coworker, that's different than a friend, that you have a different relationship with your car. It has a feeling when you think about it. That every element in your outer environment has an emotion associated with it. Which means if you're not waking up in the morning and being defined by a vision of the future, the moment you wake up and open your eyes, and it's your senses that plug you back into the environment, as you see the same people and as you go to the same places and you do the exact same things at the exact same time, it's no longer that your personality is creating your personal reality. Now your personal reality is creating your personality. Your environment is controlling unconsciously how you feel and how you think. So if your environment is controlling how you feel and how you think, and you're seeing the same people and going to the same places and doing the exact same things at the exact same time, that means then you're thinking and feeling equal to everything that you know, everything that's same. And as long as you're thinking and feeling and reacting equal to everything that you know, then your life stays the same. That means then to change is to be greater than your environment, to be greater than the conditions in your world, to be greater than the circumstances in your life. So then, if your day is good and things are going well and you feel happy because everything's going well, but the next day or later in the day, something goes on or something goes wrong and you feel unhappy, and I say to you, why are you unhappy? And you say, I am this way because of this person or this circumstance. What we're unconsciously agreeing to is we're saying that that person or that circumstance is literally controlling my feelings and controlling my thoughts. And if something in your environment is controlling you, your feelings and your thoughts, it means you're a victim to the circumstances in your environment. And when things go good, you feel good, and when things go bad, you feel bad. But in a sense then, To change is to be greater than those circumstances in your environment. Now think about this. It makes sense then that the environment is so strong that it influences our state of being. It influences the way we think and feel. And if our state of being, if our thoughts and feelings literally begin to produce effects in our lives, if we're thinking and feeling equal to everything known in our lives, then our lives will stay the same. If the body has been conditioned into the familiar past, or it's been habituated into the predictable future, and we have to be greater than our bodies, and if this is the familiar past and this is the predictable future and this is the known and this is the known, then there's only one place for the unknown to exist, and that's the sweet spot of the generous present moment. That is where possibility exists. Then it makes sense then that in order for us to start this model of change, we would have to sit down and close our eyes and disconnect from the environment before we started our day. That means then, if you're sitting and closing your eyes, there's less sensory information going into your brain.